Boom, here we go guys, another vlog. We have a very special guest today, Michael J from Big White. He's the voice of the Okanagan in the wintertime. We're pumped to have him here. Let's see what he says. Perfect, here we go. We have the Okanagan legend when it comes to skiing with us today. The conditions have been fantastic. Snow is falling. Snow hasn't stopped falling at Big White. And the sun came out for a couple days.
You know, when people have been asking us, is this a record year? And when I asked Jeremy Hopkinson, who has been at Big White for 44 years, and we were at coffee the other day, and he says to me, well, no, I think 75 was better. I said, you mean 1975? He says, yeah, that was a year that we really had to dig out a few cabins, and there was a few cave-ins, and we've come a long way because we're digging things out that we never thought we'd have to dig out before, but we're just over 600 centimeters falling from the sky. We hit the 300 centimeter base the other day. We had a big party for that, and my bet is we're going to be over 1,000.
We've changed our marketing strategies at Fresh Air quite a bit in the last few years. We've done a lot of radio. Every time I go in, they always do voice checks. We always joke around about the champagne powder, and we always try and emulate Michael J's voice. You hear the voice, you automatically think snow. Sends chills up your spine, and you get ready to go. You know,
radio has been an incredible medium for us to use. And Okanagan champagne powder is something that just one day, that's what it was. And someone said to me, well, that's the Dom Perignon champagne powder. And then I got a call from Steamboat, Colorado, who had trademarked the name champagne powder. And my argument was, well, this is Okanagan champagne powder. And by the way, champagne is a trademark of the country of France. Like, what court do you want me to meet you in? And then Kicking Horse is the home of Canadian champagne powder. You know, if you got great snow and you get to talk about it, radio's just a medium that we have a lot of fun with.
We're very fortunate to work at Fresh Air in Kelowna. We have amazing partnerships with everybody. We're very fortunate to have a partnership with Big White. The support Big White does for the locals is amazing.
This goes back a long way. When I first came to the Valley in 1982, I ran a nightclub called Tramps at the Capri Hotel for the Capozzi family. And in 1985, when Mr. Schumann bought Big White Ski Resort out of receivership, I'll never forget the day that he walked up the stairs, 8 o'clock. Who goes to a nightclub at 8 o'clock at night to begin with? 8 o'clock at night, he told me to turn down the music and bring him a bottle of Dom Perignon. He had just bought Big White. His whole concept was about looking after the locals. Think local, act global. But one thing that we've always done is we've had a deal for the locals. Whether it's our seasons passes, whether it's our tubing, whether the bus passes for the kids, the after schools program, but everybody has to have a ticket. You know, we have this thing called the Biggie card, and we talk about it all the time. Like, I'm not doing my job if you bought your ticket on the mountain. You need to buy your ticket at Fresh Air, and I'll tell you why. This ticket, today at Fresh Air Experience, and every day, saves you $30 that day on the mountain. And when you could tell someone that you can go skiing at the second most popular resort in British Columbia for $70 a day, when the ski hill down the road is $170, that's some big savings.
Last summer, we got a text message from one of the employees at Big White. It was Michael J's anniversary. He needed something big to surprise his wife, wanted to try some e-bikes.
I came to the Okanagan Valley in 1982. I'm from Winnipeg. And I can tell you, on one hand, I can count romantic spots in Winnipeg. I would need a phone book to tell you all the romantic spots I've been to in the Okanagan Valley. My wife's Australian, as a lot of people out there would know, and she's fit. I mean, she's been a cross-country customer of yours for many, many years, and she thinks e-bikes are cheating. And I convinced my wife that it's not cheating. We went down to Summerland. We stayed down at the Summerland Hotel right on the water. And the first thing you see is that big hill. Now, there is no way on a regular bike that I would make it up that big hill to get to the first winery. Well, away we went. We started pedaling a little bit, and all of a sudden we're going 24 kilometers an hour up this hill, and we're laughing, we're giggling. Look at this, is magic. It's not even an effort. We get to the first winery, and normally you would do, you know, a wine tasting, and that's very nice, and move on. Well, we did 2 wine tastings because we weren't drinking and driving, and so we went to a second winery, and then we went over to the Dirty Laundry, where they have the most incredible wood fire pizza, and had lunch there. And then we just lied in the meadow, in the vines. and just absorb the atmosphere in the Okanagan Valley, because we knew we could handle the terrain up and down in the Okanagan and those what are ginormous hills when you're on a regular bike, but when you're on an e-bike, it makes all the difference in the world. And as I've told you, you have all these enormous trails that you can take advantage of. If you can pedal a stationary bike, you can ride an e-bike. And if you can ride an e-bike, that means that the smells and the wind and being by the lake is now part of your lifestyle. And if you've been out of that and you haven't had that for a while, I encourage you to get back into it, because it's why we live here. And this is one of the most participation areas in North America. Everybody gets out and play. It's so much easier on an e-bike. It's really a lot of fun.
So much like everybody else, I wake up every morning. First thing I do is check my phone, just looking for a powder alert. You know, Instagram, I follow tons of different people just to see what's going on. So much so, my whole family, we don't even have cable anymore. We just buy certain channels, subscribe to them. My favorite one, Home and Garden TV. I love Vancouver, love it or list it. Watching Instagram for Big White, I know Jillian Harris has been a Big White. Todd Talbot was there this year. Saw a picture of Scott Oxford. Says he's teaching his wife how to ski, but I don't know. But Michael J., if it was up to you and your wife, would you guys love it or list it?
Well, you know, I mean, my wife is into Say Yes to the Dress. And my Friday nights are back to back to back. And look, I love this lady, but I'm also infatuated with the people that are on this show. I mean, oh my God, why would you say that on television? It sucks you in. But, you know, like, we're into renovating too. And I think there's a part of our life that not only could we go on a reality TV show, but I think they make a lot of sense. And, you know, you watch these renovation shows and you watch these different things that people are doing. I mean, we got our own celebrities up at Big White as well. I mean, as you know, Jillian has been up there. I mean, my wife, when she found out about the Jilly box, she had to have one. Now, I'm used to picking up the phone and can you do a favor for me? And I called Katie, and because I know Katie knows, there is no way that anybody was cutting the line. You want one of these things, you log on like everybody around the world. There's 5,000 of them. Diana was on that online late at night, and she eventually got one because people were dropping off. And that was just such a thrill for her. And you know, it's a different world. As we first started talking about the media, there are people that show up at Big White. I wouldn't have a clue who they are, but young people are coming up to me. You know, they got 250,000 Instagram followers. Like, who? What? Because in my world, that's a big deal. Are they going to tag us? Are they going to post something about us? Are they having fun? And Big White is, you know, when you got your goggles and your helmet on, it's a place that you can, if you don't want to be seen, you don't have to be seen. But we've certainly had our share of celebrities.
I know my wife is ready to sell. I think Michael J is a little up in the air. Love it or list it, I'm not sure. Either way, Michael J is having fun on the mountain. So our next employee showing his gear makes fun of me a lot. I don't know if I said this or not, but my nickname's Coco. My feet always get cold. And you're gonna see the reason why everybody makes fun of me. I just didn't click into what everybody else is doing. Here's Johnny, see what he does.
Hey, my name's Johnny. I manage our Fresh Air location on Harvey Avenue. As a super passionate boot fitter, I am really excited about the boots that I ski in every day. One of my favorite pieces of equipment is my Salomon Mountain Lab touring boots. I've done a few things to modify them. I've got a CDAS custom liner in there. So full heat moldable custom liner, helps with heel retention, helps with comfort, helps with warmth. Going back to my QST 118 ski from Salomon, there's a few things I really like about that. They've got a CFX hybrid weave on it. And the big thing with that is it replaces fiberglass in the ski. So it's carbon and flax. Carbon and flax, a little bit lighter than resin-soaked fiberglass. So yes, the ski is lighter. For me, having a ski that works really well in the powder, but it's versatile enough to go out and actually pound through that crud and the chopped up snow afterwards. It's the first ski I reach for on my powder days. If I'm going touring, you know, Coquihalla Summit, going out to the Gorge and Malacqua area, that's the ski that I'm grabbing. All right, I have another boot, and you know, touring boots are great. There are a few little downfalls in them once in a while. So if I'm going up to Big White hike to the mountain. I want to go up. I'm going to be skiing hard with friends. And it's always a versatile, a different day. Some days are cold, some days are warm. One of the best things that I have in my Salomon S-Max 120 boots is my thermic boot heaters. And people are like, why do you have boot heaters? Oh, you're a pretty young guy. I might look a little younger than I actually am. I'm not as old as Ryan, that's for sure. But that boot heater that I have has saved me on numerous days. It's a cold plastic boot on a cold mountain. We're getting blasted by wind on the chairlift. $400 for me is not a huge investment to make sure I've got warm, toasty feet all day.
I might be Coco, but I gotta come up with a nickname for Johnny. The boot heaters seem amazing. Great tips. We'll see him on the slopes. So that's it, guys. That's a wrap for this vlog. Thank you again for all the support. It's been great. If there's anything you ever want to see, you want a staff profile, comment below. We can definitely get them on. Cross your fingers. It's time. Baby number 3 is coming pretty soon. Keep in touch. See you on the slopes.